So in this video, we'll reveal how the likes of Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook build their customer journeys in order to keep millions of people addicted and always coming back to their services, and how you can use it to make sure people always stay in your brand's loop. So each touch point has to be crafted with clear intention, because too many brands don't understand what they want to do with a customer, and therefore they neglect the entire process, killing their perception of their brand and the chance to maximize where money can be made. This method is how every single big social media company gets you to scroll on their apps for hours. So why shouldn't you know this and use it to craft your own customer journeys that will print you as much money as you want? Because imagine your customer as a fish, and each touch point as a carefully cast fishing line. The goal is to, with each cast, to guide them closer to the ultimate goal, that is the conversion. We want your customers to be coming back to your products and services themselves and with other people. So what can you do? You need to focus on creating a customer journey that builds a feedback loop around the trigger action reward cycles, and this is known as the hook model. And essentially the hooked model is a way of describing a user's interaction with a product as they pass through 4 phases, and that is a trigger to begin using the product, an action to satisfy the trigger, a variable reward for the action, and some type of investment that ultimately makes the product more valuable to the user. And in this video, we'll jump into all 4 of these and we'll explain how you can exactly apply it to your own brand. So jumping straight in, the first point is the trigger. And the trigger is the actuator of the behavior, the spark plug, as they call it in the hooked model. And these come in 2 types: external and internal. There needs to be an effective combination of the two. Why? Because the most effective decision is made by intrinsically driven autonomy rather than sole external tangible rewards, because these tangible rewards undermine autonomy, and the autonomy is one of the key aspects of motivations. But if you want to learn more about that, click the link down below or the link somewhere on the screen. And how social media companies do it is by exposing us to habit-forming technologies. You can start by alerting users with external triggers like emails, a link on a website, app notifications on the phone. And by cycling continuously through these hooks, users begin to form associations with internal triggers, which become attached to existing behaviors and emotions. And soon, users are internally triggered every time they feel a certain way. And the internal trigger becomes part of their routine behavior and a habit is formed. And when a product is tightly coupled with a thought, an emotion, or a pre-existing habit, it creates an internal trigger. And this is why the trigger has to be intrinsically driven, because it has to resonate with the consumer in a deep and meaningful way. And there are 3 main triggers you should be aware of. So the first one is the facilitator, which works the best when motivation is high but ability is low, as it can help by making the behavior easier to perform, because they prompt action by making the behavior easy for the individual to initiate, because a facilitator trigger seeks to simplify the task. And then there's the sparks, and the spark is when motivation is low but the ability is high. The main purpose is to provide a boost in this motivation by triggering an action or a behavior. And finally, there's the signal trigger, when both motivation and ability are high. Something as simple as a signal can prompt the behavior, and signals are usually more about providing information than increasing ability or motivation. But how do you manufacture internal triggers? Well, some ways you can do it, and the most simple way is through demonstrating and educating the customer about the current situation and where they could be if they used your solution. And the most important thing here is to show and tell, and not just tell, asking them what they think the answer is, what the desired scenario would be, and then show them the actual final result, which in fact is the desired scenario because of your service or product. And then you acquire them with external triggers like an email sign up or sign up to a community. But there is also another way, by bringing out their desire, by removing friction, increasing capability and autonomy that results in an increase in motivation to get their final result. But again, see this video for further explanation. And here, by doing this, you are attaching basically a daily emotion or action to the product or service that is now easy to access, easy to use, and makes them think it's under their own accord. However, the key here is about increasing capability, because a trigger happens when we are both motivated and able to perform the behavior. And this is often the most missing element in behavior change, because for behavior change to succeed, you need motivation, ability, and prompt simultaneously. And if you want to perform a behavior, a well-timed trigger is welcome. But when our motivation is low for that behavior, a trigger can be distracting. And on the other hand, when we want to perform a behavior being triggered but lack the ability ability, we feel frustrated that we cannot do it. And in today's world, triggers are more important than ever because triggering causes to act on impulse. And with social media today, with everything being shiny, something trending today is not trending tomorrow, we can easily exploit that. But these prompts will differ with different awareness levels and buyer personas and stages of the funnel. And therefore, the approach is to strategically design behavior like you would design anything else. You want to map out the target behavior and then figure out what needs to shift in terms of motivation, ability, and prompts to make it happen. So something you can ask yourself in relation to motivation is something like, have we done enough to motivate users to perform our desired behavior? And then for ability, you can ask yourself, have we analyzed and eliminated any ability blockers that would stop our users from achieving the desired behavior? And then for triggers, you could ask yourself, are we using our prompts and call to actions effectively in a way that promotes users completing the final desired behavior? And then there is the second stage, which is action. And after the trigger, the intended action arrives. And here brands leverage two pulleys of human behavior, which is motivation and ability. Because to increase the odds of a user taking the intended action, the behavior designer makes the action as easy as possible, whilst at the same time boosting the user's motivation. Again, watch this video for more in-depth guide to motivation and roadblocks in the customer decision making, because people are motivated to act when they expect their efforts to lead to desired outcomes. And there are three main aspects to this that you should consider. So firstly, it is the effort to performance relationship, and this basically refers to the belief that one's effort will lead to a desirable and improved performance. And then there is the performance to reward relationship. In essence here, what this means is that the perceived probability that good performance will lead to a desired outcome. It talks about the extent to which the customer believes that getting a good performance will lead to a desired reward. And then there is the rewards and personal goals relationship. And here it's all about perceived value. It's all about the attractiveness or the appeal of the potential reward to the individual and how it applies to their current situation, if it can help them. So to simply put it, motivation to take action depends on how much we want something and how likely we think we are going to get it. And essentially the decision to act in a particular way is influenced by the anticipated rewards and the belief that the behavior will lead to the desired result. And then there is the variable reward. And what this model does differently to other vanilla models is its ability to create the want in the user. Because as we have mentioned, an aspect of motivation comes from customer understanding that their action will lead to a desired outcome and an attractive reward they value. However, variability multiplies this effect. And a great example is how Duolingo does it. So what they do is they give you diamonds in various sums throughout your journey through the language. However, sometimes they'll give you 2 days free of its Duolingo Max subscription. And every time I get that, I can't stay off the app because they understand that introducing variability multiplies this effect and it creates a frenzied hunting step, activating the parts associated with want and desire. Because what seems to happen is that variable rewards seem to keep the brain occupied, removing its defenses and providing an opportunity to plant seeds of new habits. And what recent research has shown is that our dopamine system works not to provide us with reward for our efforts, but to keep us searching by inducing a semi-stressful response we call desire. But it is this same impulse to search endlessly, never satisfied, that creates habitual behavior. And there are three main mediums of rewards you can pick from to give to your customers. So first of all is the reward of a tribe, which basically gives people a sense of connection and belonging, because as a species we depend on each other and we're meant to be part of a tribe. So our brains seek out rewards that make us feel accepted, important, attractive, and included. So for example here in the awareness stage, you can focus on connection, inclusion, and social validation, such as public recognition and featuring customers on social media or sharing user-generated content to make them feel seen. Or in the post-purchase stage, you can invite them to a customer VIP event or some sort of customer appreciation experience. And then there is the reward for the hunt. And here we are providing a more tangible reward, like a material item or a piece of information, like instructions for completing a task, because our individual need for sustenance is even more crucial. But where we once hunted for food, today we hunt for deals and information. So for example, you can provide rewards or actionable information that feel earned. For example, rewarding current customers of loyalty discounts or incentivizing people who have decided to consider your service and product by showing them your appreciation for the hunt. And then there is reward for the self, making people feel good about themselves, like the opportunity to check items off in a list in a satisfying way. These are the variable rewards we seek for personal gratification and personal achievement. So we want to feel good about our decision, because if someone feels good about their decision and we make them feel good, then they will believe that they are making the correct decisions in their life, because we seek the mastery of the world around us. So for example, here we could include micro conversions for each progression milestone, demonstrating how close they are to completing their goal, or include something bigger than them, a bigger cause. If they are completing their desired action, they join a movement, because people like to be part of something bigger than themselves. But the underlying concept here is to first come up with your ideal customer profile, because only from then you can reward them with exactly what they want, which can be giving them something or removing a pain from their life. It is about understanding the perceived value of your customer. And then finally, there's the investment. The most important thing here is that it shouldn't come as a final aspect of their journey, and all these principles should be applied at the same time at each key touch point. And the main principle here is to ensure users come back, because we want them to stay in the Ferris wheel of your brand for a while. So essentially, there are two phases to investment. First is that we want to increase the odds that the user will make another pass through the funnel when presented with the next trigger. And secondly, now that the user's brain is swimming in dopamine from the anticipation of reward in the previous phase, it's time to pay some bills. And what I mean here is that the investment generally comes in the form of asking the user to give some sort of information. So for example, time, data, effort, social capital, or money. However, this investment needs to help both you and them, and it should be an action that improves the service for the next go around. So something like inviting friends, stating preferences for the next time they go around, or learning to use new features are all commitments that would improve the service for the user. And these investments can be leveraged to make the trigger more engaging, the action easier, and the reward more exciting with every time they pass through the hook and the funnel. Because the main principle here is commitment, and investment equals commitment. Because the key goal here is to escalate commitment, as it makes our brain do funny things. Its power to influence people to give more to charity, and its ability to coerce prisoners of war to switch allegiances. Commitment is very powerful, and it plays an important role in the things we do, the products we buy, and our perception of who we are. But it is about the anticipation of reward and not immediate gratification, because the investment has to be a bit of work, which makes the user more likely to use the product in the future. So for example, on X, or formerly known as Twitter, the investment comes in the form of a follow, and after a few clicks through the flow, they prime the user with tweets that the user will find something new and interesting, and it keeps going in a loop, and you will always find something you're interested in. So for example, I don't know, maybe what prompted you to watch this video? You might have seen the title, or simply was just bored and you was looking for something new to do. But you took the cue, which is you was bored. Now you're doing the action, watching the video, and you're anticipating some sort of reward. And investment and commitment are vital in crafting and captivating customer journeys, because the brain quickly adapts to repeated stimuli, requiring habit-forming products to improve with continued use. And this is where the investment phase becomes critical, because it encourages users to contribute time, effort, and resources, deepening their connection to the product. And by engaging more, customers not only receive greater value, but also reinforce their habit. But you want people to come back, and how can you do that? The investment is the string that pulls the users back, and the aim here is to get the user to return unprompted, making sure they are motivated, meaning they are capable of completing the action, it's on their own accord, and now they understand how it relates to their problem. So if each pass through the model, we want to increase the value of your product and service, and this can happen in two ways. For example, stored value, which is every time a user inputs data, they create stored value, and the more users invest, the less likely they think about using them. So for example, games create addicted users by giving them time to invest every time they play. For example, higher scores, leveling up, or earning some sort of virtual currency are all powerful examples of commitment. And these game mechanics disappear if the user stops playing, increasing the need to stay engaged all the time. And then there is network value, and this means that products increase in value as a greater number of people use them. So for example, by helping to share the service, you help other people discover it, and you could get a greater feeling of, for example, altruism. And at this stage, you ask yourself how each action and section leads to another cohort of users, and how each section actually leads to an increased likability of a share. And both of these questions cover both value concepts, because both increase value, as value is stored through increased social credibility, and stored value is in the cohort of users using it. And there you have it. Now you know everything you need to know about crafting funnels and how to make them addictive. However, I know you want to get started as soon as possible, and this is a lot to take in. So check the links down below, and let's start building a funnel that will engage, convert, and scale your brand in a swift click. Please like, share, and comment what else you would like to see, and have a good day.